October 22nd in 2025, and we're gonna jump live very shortly.
Yeah. So, Madhu, I want to discuss on the Teradata pull request. So, can you please add that in the agenda?
Yeah, do you have a link for it?
Yes, I have. I will bring you there.
Just put it in the call messages in terms of And Eden,
Yeah, I
you're
just
muted. I
bring.
cannot hear you in case you're talking to us. All right, here we go. Well, should we start with that one, Satish? Let's see what that is. I'll fire it up right here.
Okay.
Oh, Teradata connector. Yes.
Yes.
Um, I don't know where that's it. I didn't even realize that you guys started that PR now. That's excellent. How is it going in terms of reviews? Chenyan has reviewed. Okay, that's good. Okay, so this license is definitely a question that we have to sort out. Because, yeah, it needs to be included and shipped by us within the binaries that we're shipping. Otherwise, the connector can't be shipped, essentially, right? So it needs to allow redistribution by us. Typically, those
Okay.
connectors are licensed in some sort of license that allows that, or ideally even open sourced under an Apache license to be compatible. But that's definitely something that needs to be sorted out. Is this your username, Satish?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So on that update, I just want to give an update. So we are working with our internal team, and right now we have an update from the team is they are going to make it as similar to the Oracle JDBC driver. Right now, Oracle is also not open source,
Yeah, okay,
but
that's
they have the
perfect.
license. We are going to similar to that. So we will be by this weekend. We are going to update with the similar to the Oracle license.
Okay,
So
that's awesome. So
hope
once
it will be
that's
fine.
so you're gonna publish a new version under that new license then basically to
Yes,
reflect
it's
that
going
change?
to be yes,
Okay.
yes. Okay,
That's awesome.
that's
Yeah,
the
that unblocks that, and then I guess Piotr is looking at it. Alexander is looking as well. So you do have at least two reviewers. Um, if there's more reviews and stuff needed, just chime in on the core dev channel. And do you have any specific question, or is the feedback you gotten so far okay?
yes. So I have I need a help from the Trino team to configure the tokens which will require to run the Teradata integration test. So there are basically a couple of secrets has to be added in the GitHub workflow secret section to run them. So
Okay.
I asked a couple of
So the tests
things here
don't
in
hang
the
on, hang on.
Slack.
Are you
Yes.
saying that the tests run into a deployed version of Teradata, not on a Docker container or anything like that?
Yes, we don't have any Docker container as of now.
Okay,
So
cool. Yeah.
Teradata instance will be available on the public and we need to configure them to run on those instances.
Okay. In terms of the access, you need to work with Martin, Dane, or David. You can also start a group chat with me and the three of them to sort that out, or I can do that if you want.
Okay.
You are on
So
Trino's
yeah, I
Slack?
can, yes, I am on the training Slack.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, cool. I will do that to get those secrets provisioned.
Okay, I just pinged you.
Yeah, you can't provide me the secrets because I don't have access, so that doesn't help.
Okay, okay, okay. So Do you want me to start a group chat with you and David?
I can do that after the meeting, or
Okay,
you can do it.
fine. Okay, okay, thank you.
Cool.
So that would be the great help for it will unblock our peer next reviews.
Okay.
Once integration test run, yeah, it will unblock our
Awesome.
peer review. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, that's all from my end.
Okay. Cool. Excellent. Okay. I see a someone wants to join. Who's someone? Admit. Vishal is someone. Hello, Vishal. You're someone. All right. What other topic do we have? Eden, I see you got joined by someone else.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, good. Thanks. Good to have you.
Um, Good to have you. Thank you very much for having time to talk with us. We have two issues open that we'd like to talk about. Both of them are the optimize on the Iceberg table and the Trino connector. Both of them are for scaling problems that we have. One problem, the first one is parallelize writing on a partition that is large. That we have like a partition that is like a 15 giga or something, and then it's like we have no scaling on the writing. I'll explain more in depth. And the other problem is parallelize between partitions. It's like two different problems that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for both of these problems is, from what we understood, the mechanism of reading small files, because we have like a partition that has thousands or tens of thousands of small files, and then all of the small files are read from the same partition, and like the sum of it is like a few giga of storage, and then we have only one writer on the end of the process. So that's like the problem, and we had a few solutions that we were discussing online, but that's like a big problem.
Yeah. Can you provide, like, do you have the two pull requests at least? I'm not sure if anyone is here that is like deeper in the Iceberg side of things. Typically, if you have a lot of small files, that's bad, right? Like you need to probably compact it first and then do any optimizations. But you're talking about the optimizing itself. So,
Yeah, I'm talking about the optimize, that is the compaction. In Trino it's called the optimize, and it's like the rewrite data files Spark equivalent.
mm-hmm.
That it's exactly what we're trying. We're trying to create like the smaller files. We have a PR. I think the number is 26632.
It's for the parallelism
Yeah,
between partitions.
yeah. So like what we try to do is we try to do like round robin of reading files, and that way we have more than one writer writing at a time. So it's like there's no bottleneck. I think there's like a graph there that shows like the idea.
Mm-hmm.
The problem again was just because it's like you read all the splits, and then it all funnels into one writer, and like the writer is configured not to auto scale, so it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, okay. So I'll have to ask the maintainers. Ranak is definitely the right person to potentially review that. Obviously, anyone else that knows Iceberg here on the call or anywhere else is also invited to know that. But Ranak is very deep in that side of things, so he would know best.
Okay,
Unfortunately, he's not
that's
here
good.
today. So
That's okay. Next time, hopefully.
yeah, no, that's fine.
Um,
We can like just make sure you like I can push it out on the core dev channel. That's where typically these questions come up. But yeah, anyone else has any ideas about this in more detail? I honestly don't.
so we have like two issues, and like the second suggestion that we had, it's on a different I think it's in a different issue, is scaling up the writer.
Mm-hmm.
If you get like 1 giga of data, and like you want files that are 100 mega, and we want like our target is 100 mega, then we can scale to more. If we are 950, we can scale to 10 writers and still get like the perfect size. We were wondering how to implement that, if anyone has any idea, because we weren't aware of like the internals on how to like touch the scaling of the number of workers.
You mean the number of workers?
The writers, the number of writers that are doing like the,
Oh,
because
right.
I know it's like it's changed a few. I think it was a few years ago that we changed it to only one writer, so we don't have many files. That what we need is one writer when it's below 100 megabyte or below the target. What we want is like the maximum number of writers available according to like the number of the data divided by the target.
I think it was discussed in the last contribution call, but someone said that there was a problem with the scaling, so we wanted to limit it with
Yeah,
the maximum
that was
based on
that
data
was
span.
Ronak. That was there in the last call. So,
Yeah, so we can somehow limit it based on the data. The partition has to be compacted, but we're not sure how to implement this.
yeah, we'll have to you'll have to ask Ronak if that's reasonable or if that's approach.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
But if there's another PR or anything or an issue where you have written a bit of that down, then we can also like communicate
So
on that.
I think this is the issue.
Yeah, I think the second one is 27020.
Two.
It is discussing about like the scaling of the writer. So the first one is round robin on the splits.
Mm-hmm.
So you have more writers in general. Then second one, I think the second one is like touching the exact problem, but the first one I think is easier to implement.
Okay.
That's what
Well,
we
maybe
had.
just put those issues in the chat, and I can put them in the notes, and then afterwards, we can figure out.
That will be amazing. We'll do that. Thank you.
Cool. Cool. What else is happening? Anyone have any questions? In terms of the releases, the 477 release went out. You guys all know that. We did not publish all the binaries. That caused some reuse with the reuse issues with people that depend on those binaries, including our Trino packages repository, in fact. But with the 478 release, whenever we're cutting that, we will publish more of those binaries again. So hopefully we will be able to cut that. I don't think anyone has started on the 478 release notes and that kind of stuff yet, so that'll be a little while. Similarly, I'm about to start the Trino Gateway release notes for the next version that we cut 17, so that's coming hopefully sooner, and we'll probably switch that to Java 25. But otherwise, the only other update I have is me and anyway, we're working on the Trino query UI to get that published. It's getting refactored to be a component, so we'll hopefully soon be able to pull that into the preview UI once we get it published. Just working on a pull request that does that.
Manfred, is the plan to get that integrated into Trino UI or
Yes,
Gateway UI?
into the preview UI. So in Trino, remember we have the normal UI that is all the old stuff, and then we have the preview UI that uses like a more modern stack, including React component and the material UI, like UI components and stuff like that. We're currently refactoring the query UI to use the same component stack and be published onto the npm registry, and then the preview I will pull it in. Peter Costogliani is working on that mostly, and he has it already implemented in a sort of a proof of concept kind of thing. We're just doing a lot of the publishing and cleanup work and that kind of stuff, but that's coming eventually, and then we'll see what happens with the UI in general. Once we have feature parity, the idea is that we'll throw the old one away, but and we're getting close, but we're not there yet, I think.
Yeah, I have been using, trying out that the preview UI, There was a minor bug got introduced after a PR that came in after 477 that broke preview and the old UI. But Peter has a new PR out there that fixes it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Let us know about those. Like I can hopefully also help with reviewing those. Thank you, Eden. I will put those in the note, by the way, your messages. Yeah, that's a general call out. If anyone has a chance to try the preview UI and test it around and find issues, please do help us improve that and fix it as much as possible, because ultimately that's going to replace the old UI and be hopefully much more modern and more user-friendly as well.
Yeah, I was working with the Peter directly and got provided. I gave him a bunch of feedback, and all that got incorporated into the UI, so it looks good.
Awesome. Thank you, Sash. That's great
Sure.
that you're working there. All right, James, Eric, Vishal. Anything else? Anyone?
I always got something, Manfred. I'm just saving it to the end.
Leave the best for last, Eric, of course.
Yeah, then I'll go
Roy
before.
wanted to jump in, but I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, Alex is jumping in. Hello, Alex. We're just looking for new topics, so if you have a new topic to talk about, jump right in. Oh, and I also just see that there's a release potentially planned for today or tomorrow, and Martin wants to have feedback on the release notes. So hopefully I'll get around to look at those today.
Yeah, I have a small topic which I'm pretty sure is going to become big. We just wanted to start with that. So you remember, like, we had this router based on CPU and memory. We were talking about how to get the stats.
Mm-hmm.
And now the next and more elaborate phase is basically what we call internally is rate limiting, and what basically in Trino world we basically say the resource groups, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of makes sense for the Trino gateway to work based off of how much, like, bandwidth, CPU and memory bandwidth some query or users are using, and then basically block them before when the query goes to the gateway, the Trino cluster. So with that regard, I think Dane was saying that we will need to have a conversation about that. So I was wondering, like, whenever we want to have that conversation, I think we can start that and see, like, how we want to go about doing that, so that gateway will be much more involved in the resource groups limitation. Yeah, limiting the queries by resource groups. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to figure out how to proceed best about that in terms of, like, organizing to find the right stakeholders to talk this through in more detail.
Yeah.
But just out of curiosity, so Vishal, are you saying that now queries get queued in the gateway and rather than the Trino cluster itself?
Yeah, that's correct.
I see.
I mean, currently they're not getting queued. Like, there's not like a... So there's two things. So the Trino gateway that we're working on does not do that yet. It just passes it through. Interestingly enough, the Trino LB from... now I lost the name.
I remember that. Like,
from
that's
the guys in
thing.
Germany, Sönke and Kur. They create a Trino query, like, UI... Trino query identifier on the fly and hold on to it in a cache, and then potentially that allows them is they have one queue, they have the queue in the gateway, like in their Trino load balancer, and what that allows them to do is orchestrate a Trino cluster to be started up and wait for it and then file the query there. Our Trino gateway does not do that yet, and we might do that in the future, but that's not the case yet at this stage. We're just passing it through. But what Vishal is talking about, Sash, is to know more about the clusters in detail and what's allowed so that we can route to the right one, right? For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it could be like a phase implementation where we could just reject something at the beginning, then we can go for queuing.
Yeah, exactly.
But in order for a gateway to do any meaningful job, we need to have a mechanism by which gateway knows about how much. I mean, gateway needs to know the usage of CPU and memory per user based on the queries.
Yeah, and the other thing that's relevant for that is in Trino we have the resource groups. We want sort of something like that in Trino Gateway, and unfortunately, actually, the old, when it was called Presto Gateway, actually had the Trino resource groups pulled over into Trino Gateway, and we still have that in there, including the table definitions and updates and the UI component. We want to get rid of that in Trino Gateway because it's not really compatible, and we want to write something that does a similar thing, but that's a bit more targeted for Trino Gateway and more flexible. Like, not necessarily more flexible, but like not as confusing as the resource groups that are in Trino. And the problem is also, like, the reason why that doesn't also work well is if you have clusters behind Trino Gateway that have different versions, then potentially the resource groups are like different. That's a mess. So we still have the plan to get rid of that part in Trino Gateway itself.
Yeah, Vishal, we've also come to the conclusion that queuing has to be done at the gateway layer. Like, it doesn't make sense to do it in individual clusters. It's kind of too late at that point. Like, you've already made the wrong routing decision if something's queued. So yeah, definitely keep like me and LinkedIn folks in the loop for any discussions you have there. That's something we're starting to look at as well.
Also, if anyone starts looking at that, do look at the old Trino community broadcast episode with the guys from the Trino LB project. From what I remember, they are using Redis, and they were scaling this to pretty crazy numbers. So it is definitely workable. Like, so that should be good experience. And also feel free to ping them. They're on Slack, and we can also reach out to them directly and probably talk to them about it. They just didn't use Trino Gateway because they needed to move faster, which,
yeah. For what it's worth, also Starburst's own internal implementation of a gateway does queuing above the cluster layer as well. Last I checked, so there's lots of precedent.
The Trino like what's in Starburst Galaxy, yeah. There's also a, from what I understand, a fork of Trino Gateway that's called Starburst Gateway now, which is used for Starburst Enterprise, but I don't know. I'm not involved anymore, so I have no idea really.
Yeah, I don't know which component, but from previous discussions with I think like Dane, like they do all the queuing outside of the coordinators, which is the same as what we're proposing here.
Yeah, that was the case in the Starburst Galaxy, and I think they were even
not only can you get better load balancing, but then also, like, if your cluster dies, you don't lose your whole queue, right? You can store it persistently somewhere and persist across any restarts or whatever.
Yeah, and upgrades and all that stuff becomes more.
Yeah.
Cleaner.
Yeah, I too agree. Like, this might be the biggest feature we can begin with, that queuing capability, and then slowly incorporate all the other features. The reason I am suggesting is that there are, like, if there are tons of queries coming in, and sometimes there are a lot of metadata queries and things like that, you probably can proactively go and kill them or reduce the load on the cluster than having everything queued all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Alex Shorrock, did you have any questions specifically, or you just wanted to join us to hang out?
No, I have nothing. I had never been on one of these calls, so I was just curious to listen in. So I don't have any topics, unfortunately.
That's all good. You're always welcome to join us.
All right. You ready for me now, Manfred?
I'm always ready. It looks like Roy is not jumping in, so we don't have to talk about Hive views, so I'm all happy about that.
Okay, so you do recall I'm working on the ODBC driver, right?
Yes, and you're shipping in January, you said.
Well, there's already some PRs, but our scope is going to be a little bit bigger, to be honest.
You were hinting about that last time, yeah. Are you doing the cache?
Yeah, sorry. So let me see if I can share just this tab without trying to give you some giant proposals. So The way our OAuth work is we have a library called Bloomberg Enterprise OAuth, which we're open sourcing in the process, right? The challenge comes on the client side, right? Because in many of these flows, the client is doing the authentication, authorization, and even many times the lookup of a particular resource, right? So people, when they're communicating with Trino, they basically have to get a token, and this is a Python example, and pass it in. So this is kind of how the client flows are working. Otherwise, most of the authorization is all server-side configuration. So in these particular cases, we're trying to change it so that the client manages it. And this is for things like machine-machine communication, AI, and various tools too. So this is what the current Python code looks like. But we don't like it because we're changing it. So we're going to start embedding these libraries into, and these are some of the proposed new APIs for Python, and I'll cover Java and the ODBC driver too, is on the Python side, we want to change it so that this is OIDC. So you can kind of give it the open ID configuration, and it will go out and it will find the configuration values and make the connections for you. So in the term client credentials, it means you give it a client ID in secret, and it gives you a JW token that allows you to talk directly to your Trino resources, right, to Trino. And then you can run all the queries. So right underneath here, you'll see that I'm running queries. But I'm trying to mock up the API examples before I go into the deep code. So we're going to introduce a new client credentials type, and it allows you to set these. So once again, this is for machine-machine communications. This is not for unattended. It's not for humans in BI tools or tools. It's for machine-machines. Okay, and also the Python, we want to allow you to specify a couple of URLs directly because most of them go out and do the open ID discovery. So in this case, we're going to allow you to give the direct token input. So these are changes that we're going to make to the Python Trino library directly and give an upstream PR. So
I would suggest that you write any those kind of things on the client behavior. We try to have them similar / as close as possible in the different clients. So if you write that up, then we can make sure that the approach we take here in the Python client also bubbles over to the JDBC driver. That's probably the most important one. Maybe the CLI, and then also whatever else potentially.
I'll get into that. You kind of jumped the scene a little bit. So this is also another flow, is device grant, right?
Yeah.
But with device grant, what we're trying to see now is the problem. Let me use the word AI, MCP agents, right? You don't want to have to code in these particular AI agents are to discover how you get author token to be able to access the resources you want, right? So there are additional new specs out there. It's called the protected resources metadata. That means that you basically make a call directly to your SQL. It returns you the resource location to be able to go and get it. So then in this case, you don't even have these additional configuration pieces. It returns back to you what you should be using, right? So this is more for MCP agents, but it's a fairly new standard that has come out. So I believe this is going to be added to as well as part of the spec. So this way an MCP agent can directly use the Python, JDBC, ODBC, right? Whichever one you want. So it allows you to look up the resources that you want, which is very similar to the previous flow, but it's a fairly new spec. And since we're going to be in these client libraries and making the changes, we're going to go all the way through. And I have a full proposal doc.
All right, cool.
Too. I've written all this stuff up, but I kind of wanted to cover the APIs before these big long docs are about sales pitches, not about the meat and potatoes or how the thing works. So, and here's the second one too. So this is once again device grants. Device grant there's a human there, right? It's just one of the newer proposals that are out, and it's a more modern OAuth 2 proposal. So we want to make sure that we lift all these things up, because right now none of the client libraries support this stuff. None of it. You only can somehow get a JWT out of band. Well, your client can manage the JWT for you. This is the Java, as you were kind of jumping forward, right? Which is very similar things too, right? Unfortunately, in the Java world, you basically give it, you get a set of properties. So in the device driver manager, it already generally has the JDBC driver loaded as part of it. That's just kind of how the Java stuff works. And then you have a properties, and this is the initial proposed ways of setting exactly the same thing in the Java world, but in the Python world. And this is very compatible with all the BI tools too as well, right? Because the BI tools that you're going to plug into, like, I don't know if it's Superset or dbeaver or whatever, you go into their little UI and you can configure these properties directly inside of their driver. So this flow for the Java is very in line with the same things as what you're going to end up seeing in those BI tools. So we want to allow the BI tools to directly integrate with the these token flows too as well. It's more modernized. So you don't. So you plug and play. We're going to put all this open source as part of the. I think it's called the Trino client and Trino-JDBC. It's both of them.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Very similar thing too for the Java. So this is the device grant. The previous one is client credentials. Once again, designed for machine-to-machine communications. Right. And then the ODBC proposal too, which I've given PRs already, is some of these, but I don't really like them. I want to go back through it. I want to normalize the parameters to be identical to what they are in the Java, so that when you tell somebody, here's how you connect, when you give them that named client ID, it's meaningful across the three clients, right? Across the Python client, across the ODBC JDBC. This is how you in Microsoft Excel or whatever, you just give it a driver configuration, it automatically loads it for you, and you can instantly start sending queries. So I've given PRs, but I'm going to go back and start redoing it so that we have, like I said, the exact same properties in all these locations. Doesn't make sense for the three clients to be different, which is kind of what you just hinted at earlier. And this is the device flow, and same thing here as the client credentials. But as like I kind of mentioned, as part of this, I would rather, instead of giving these known URLs, I would rather it discover how to connect and then use some of the more modern protocols. So we're going to add that capability in all three of the clients.
That's awesome. Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been discussing this with Dave quite a bit. I've given him the proposal spec. It's just that the proposal keeps changing a little bit more as we unravel a few of the things, especially when it comes to MCP agents and how they're going to auto-discover how to get where they need to connect to get the tokens. Because otherwise, you don't want to try and have to configure all these properties everywhere. Yeah. It needs a more auto-discover.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Might need to add the CLI as well, because that's kind of like the default one. But again, same approach probably. And yeah, if you talk to David, he's the probably deepest involved in the JDBC driver. So if you get his buy-in, then that'll automatically work. And then the JDBC driver can be used as the model for the others. So I think that'll work well. That's really good. Love it.
Yeah, I've already been talking to Dave. He told me you put it in the Trino client, and then the JDBC wraps that, and the Trino CLI wraps the
exactly.
Trino client as well.
Yeah. That's really
and
cool.
Then you have the same common code in all places.
Awesome, Mary. That's cool.
These PRs will be coming ASAP because I got some fairly tight deadlines.
Right, that's excellent. Cool. Well, if you're already working with David on that, that should get you to get that closed. If you need any help on the Python drivers, probably should be able to get help there as well. We have a few pretty active people on the Python client.
Yeah, you know what? It's the same code in 3 different places, so it's really the same.
Yeah, if you get it, if like that's like if you get it all approved and like David happy on the ODBC, on the JDBC driver, then the others you can just run through quickly. Like it'll make it easier.
Yeah, I have a full proposal doc that I'm going to start putting on. All of these clients will support the spooling protocol, because downloading row by row by row large transfers just doesn't make any kind of sense. So
yeah,
I think anything over a megabyte, we're going to try and transfer the data going back and forth column.
yeah.
So it should speed up the downloads by, well, depends upon the column, but 100-to-1 compression ratios I've seen before. So that's a lot less time spent in network IO transit. So this way you can move larger amounts of data across these standard drivers.
Yeah, should save you some money as well.
Yeah, that's true. And clients grieve too as well, right?
Yeah, excellent. That's really cool.
So just to Eric, just to want to get this piece clarified. So an existing BI tool like a Tableau could take advantage of this new driver once this feature is implemented, because then they can automatically retrieve the token on behalf of the user and run queries, right?
100%. Yes, that is correct. So it's there to target Tableau, but also Click requires ODBC. And to minimize the impact, we have to support refresh tokens. So there's an entire spec you have to do when you start putting this stuff into the client. But you're 100% correct, Saj.
Wonderful.
And by the way, like the use of the properties in the JDBC driver, that's perfect, because all the like DB and all those, they allow you to configure those properties. Some of them introspect the configured properties and then auto-populate like a UI based on that as well, so you can test that and verify as well. So that should also all completely work transparently, which is great.
Yep. I'm happy to give everybody early access to these pieces to test them, but we also have a pretty large audience.
Yeah.
Once
Once you have a PR up, people can play with it anyway. So.
Yep. I already have I have internal stuff, but we're open sourcing some additional libraries that help solve these, because we haven't found any open source libraries that do this. Nimbus is like 10 years old, doesn't deal with any of these more modern flows. It doesn't deal with the man-in-the-middle attacks, doesn't deal with refreshes and caching. So there's a whole series of the stuff that it doesn't do. So and most of the people that do this, they have a commercial driver, not an open source.
Yeah.
We're open sourcing the whole thing.
That's very generous and good.
Yeah, but please, any feedback is, if there's something I'm missing or something you've heard about, now is the time.
Yeah, if you can share that document, so in some sort of like commenting access, if you're willing to do that, or like even just a copy of it where you are like looking for at comments, I can put them in the show notes if that's what you want, if that works.
Oh yeah, I'll share the one. Yeah, that's good.
Awesome, cool. All right.
I took a look at this last time. I don't know.
Anything else, anyone?
They didn't send you the.
All right, well, I better get going over to the Trino 478 release notes review, because evidently Martin wants to cut a release. So. Hopefully we'll get that shipping soon. All right, thank you everyone, and I'll see you next time. It's gonna be November edition.